Okay, good evening. This is Brian Baylor. It is June 13th. I am the Hannah City Village Administrator, and this is a Community and Economic Development Council meeting. I'm going to have the folks in the room go around and introduce themselves so that we've got that on record, and then we'll start the meeting.
All right, this is Trustee Zach Sidek.
At large, Danny Pearson.
Jeannie Thomas, Farmington Area Public Library.
Zach Charlton, Farmington Schools.
Red David.
David Tuttle, Logan Travola Fire.
Megan.
Megan, Hannah City Park District.
Okay, guys, thanks for coming. Like I said, I thought Jody McGinty would be here, and she may still. I invited her to join us, tell us kind of her vision for what was going to go on with the Hannah City TAP. But in her absence, since she's not here yet, I will move forward. And then in your packet, you have a copy of the minutes from our last meeting, which was held April 11th, 2023. I'll give you an opportunity to review those if you haven't already. And once you've done so, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes or modify them. Approve the minutes either.
So moved.
I have a motion to approve the minutes from the April 11th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a second from Jeannie. Motion from Zach. You got all that? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, also in your packet, you have two documents that go over the financials. The first one is, if you look at, Gwen does this for us every year, kind of right at the beginning of the fiscal year, based upon what she knows, and we've had some additional things since then. But what you can see on that one pager is kind of the estimates of the year. So you see the upper column TIF and upper column BDD. So then you see the total estimated revenues for each. So TIF should be 76,109, BDD 141, and then you can see the estimated expenditures. So we have the coffee can agreement in place that we would be reimbursing on both. We have the Zane's auto body agreement that has been approved by both you guys and the board, but they've not signed the paperwork at this point. They tell me they're still interested, but they've not signed the paperwork, but I still got a placeholder for that. Then there's the surplus distribution. That's 80% of the residential that goes back to the other taxing bodies, I believe, on the TIF side. And then you can see where we budgeted for $25,000 for the residential program, which we're going to spend pretty much all of that. $75,000 for the commercial program. And then the estimated fees from the attorneys and the accountants and the total expenditures. Then you can see what's left over, about $14,000 on the TIF side, $17,000 on the BDD side. And then we get a portion of the surplus. So that takes it to, TIF would finish the year if everything was perfect at $19,392 additional income or additional revenue, and then the BDD would be at $17,000. Now, the one thing that's not on here that we've already approved is the signs, updating the signs on. That was what, 44,000 and some change. So that'll come out of the BDD side, but it's not in these numbers. But I guess the most important thing is to note there that right now for the fiscal year, we're looking at about 17 or actually 13,000 on the BDD side if you count the signs, and then about 14 or 19, on the TIF side, which is good for the TIF because we've not done that well before. And the second document I've got in there is the financial report for the month of May. This is the first month of the fiscal year. There's really not a whole lot in there, but I wanted to share it with you. There's no activity in TIF. I think we had like 38 cents. I just round up income, no expenses. On the BDD side, for some reason, our sales tax for the village was down. So therefore the BDD was down for the first month of the year. It was below our estimated budget for the village as well. We had budgeted $12,000, but what we do is we just take the total estimated income for the year and divide by 12. So a lot of time it's just timing. We didn't have any BDD expenses yet, so we did have a positive variance of the month of $8,500. And then the last slide is probably the most important. Right now in the TIF bank account, we've got just a little over $15,000. So if we actually do, to the previous slide, $19,000 to the good this year, we'll have close to $35,000 in TIF at the end of the year. And then BDD, we've got roughly $235,000 in the BDD account. And so the question there is, at one point you guys had prioritized lighting as a possibility for the town. If we're going to do a project like lighting, we're probably talking, $500,000 or $750,000 or something like that. So just because we have $250,000 there doesn't mean that we need to spend it if lighting is a priority or other village projects are a priority. So I think one of the things to consider as we look at the projects that we approve as we move on is how much of it we want to pull from the operating budget for the year. And then do we want to dip into the reserves for any of the projects that we're doing for either residential or businesses? Does that all make sense? Okay. All right. I wanted to lay that framework before we got into what's next. Because David has to go, I'm going to jump from 3. I'm going to jump all the way down to, and I really wish Judy was going to be here. She said she was coming. I want to jump down to the Hannah City TAP proposal. I told you about Zane's. We're waiting on their signature. In your deck, you've got a big packet from the Hannah City TAP. It includes in it their application. It also includes in there, she needed documentation showing that she actually is going to own the building because of the estate. She wasn't the actual owner, so we needed approval from the owner that she could actually do the project, and we've got that documentation in there now. And then the last thing is the quote for the work that she wants to do, which is replacing the sidewalk on the entire perimeter of the property. Zach's got a drawing right there that he can begin to pass around. It's not to scale, but it gives you an idea. And I don't know how familiar you are with the Hannah City TAP, but there's a sidewalk that runs basically on Main Street if you're standing and facing the building, a sidewalk that runs on Main Street from the far right of the building all the way down to the corner, and then runs from the corner all the way down past the building. And there's actually a little small apartment there and then a driveway. If you remember, she tore out about 25% of the sidewalk to do the foundation work for the building that she's already done. But she's wanting to go back and not just replace that 25%, but she wants to replace the full. She's going to do the full sidewalk. And part of the reason why she wants to do that is she wants to change the grade a little bit, because the way it works today is she's getting water in the basement of that building, and she's done a lot of work inside and so forth. And the quote for that project is $21,781, so about $22,000. So I think the discussion for us here is, I think everybody when we've talked in the past has said that they want to help her. Danny, for your understanding, she's probably put over $100,000 into restoring the inside of the building. I've actually gone over and had a chance to look at it. It looks really nice. They moved the bar, they repainted, they redid the floor, they redid all the wiring. My inspector's been there. He said that it was a long way from code, but now they've got it to the point where it's pretty close to being where it would need to be for code. They're not ready to ask for that yet, but the next step is the sidewalk. And then if Jody was here, what I was going to have her talk about was kind of the next generation of things, which I believe, Zach, you were wanting to hear in terms of the vision of the place over time. It's still going to have gaming. It'll still be a bar, but then they also got a hood and they'll have food in there as well, so it'll function as a restaurant. And then they've got plans to eventually do the outside, the siding on the outside, and redo the roof. There's an addition. At one point it was one building, and then it's kind of an addition on it. Part of the roof is kind of skewed, and that's one of the things that the inspector's working on, is to understand if that's up to code or not. If it's not, she'll need to fix that. But I guess I envision encouraging her somewhere down the road to come back and look at another grant, maybe in future years, to redo the siding and the the roof and kind of make the exterior of the building look nice as well. Is that Jody? Hello?
Hello.
Hey, I was just telling your story.
Oh.
This is Jody.
Hi.
This is the Community and Economic Development Council. I'll have them introduce themselves to you. Online, we've got David Tuttle from the Fire District and Megan
Hi.
Welker from the Park District. And then here we have
Jeannie Thomas with the library.
Okay.
Danny Pearson, I'm an at-large member.
Okay.
Zach Sidek, I sit on the village board.
I'm Zach Cheriton with the school district.
Nice
So-
to meet all of you.
I was just kind of talking about, maybe you can talk about it a little bit further, what you've done already, what you're wanting to do with the sidewalk, and then kind of what any future plans that you have beyond that.
Well, so far I have redone the entire inside. So like went in, did the masonry work in the basement and made sure it would stay dry and stuff, and then put all new drywall down there. Ripped out all the electrical in the entire place. Started from scratch, broke up some panels, so each place has, their own panel. Nobody has to come to the bar to get service or vice versa. Like one of the main panels was in her apartment. So I didn't want to have to knock on somebody's door and maybe they're not home or whatever to try and, get a breaker reset or something. So plumbing, went in and gutted all the plumbing and just started over. So the floor was really sketchy. So we went in and did new structure, all new floor joists, all new. The floors just 100% back to restructured any walls that were sketchy. We were afraid if we took the whole floor out at once, that it would just fall in, which probably wouldn't have been a bad thing looking back, but we just made sure the walls were secure and then took the floor up, like we'll take up this corner and lay it back down and take up that corner and lay it back down. But like if you go downstairs and look up, it's all brand new wood. So it's really nice. And then obviously when we took out the floor, everything inside, like the existing bar and all that, we just dumped all of that. And so we built a big horseshoe kind of bar in there. It's, I don't know, they had a storeroom before. We opened all that up so like the gaming could be at one part, and people, I don't know, if you're not a gamer, you don't like people to watch you play or put money in or if you win. So that's like up at, I guess, Main Street. Is that right there? Main Street, the post
The gaming's
office
going to be
side?
along there.
Yes. So that before was one door that they didn't really use. We turned that into double doors, and that will be access in and out. As the other door depends on how the sidewalk, but it will still have a step. So if you have a problem with steps, you can go in from the other side over here. You would still have to use a step to get up. So that was nice just because some older people don't like steps, or if they have a wheelchair or whatever, they can get in through those double doors. And then I did not put a walk-in in. I think they're overrated. So right off there, we just made a simple storeroom so we could have ice machine, little stuff like that. And then going downstairs, we just drywalled a whole room and made it finished. So like Christmas decorations or whatever, put new stairs down to the basement. And then I just stopped. They have the bar top on. We waited a long time because I wanted a stainless steel bar top. And then I wanted them to bend it to fit the bar perfectly because it's an expensive thing that I was like, okay, I want this to last for the next 30 years. So let's make sure this bar top is on good. So and all new lighting in the ceiling. We took, they had like a little step up, so when we put in all the new floors, it's all even now. So right across the board, even if you like walk behind the bar, it's not a step up or anything. And then I don't know, new trim, new doors. We made the bathrooms a lot bigger so that they would meet health department and handicap accessible. So they're a lot bigger, and all new heating, cooling, all that. So we don't have to mess with that later. And then hoping to get all new sidewalks all the way around. The apartments are being gutted and redone too. So they're in the process of, they're already gutted. They're just in the process of.
Is there more than one?
Huh?
More than one apartment?
Yeah, there's a, what I would call an efficiency apartment. I mean, we made it have its own bathroom, then it has one closed room, and then we put a bigger window in. So like a fire access, and then we added, if you notice on the side of the building, there's a new air conditioning unit. It's shared air with the bar, so we put their own air conditioning unit up there. And that has like 4 steps. So, and then I am adding a little, they had a big long closet in there, which I don't know if you're living in an efficiency apartment, I wouldn't think that you'd have that many clothes, but so we opened that up and made it so they can have a little stove and sink, and, you know, a refrigerator or whatever. So it'd be like, I don't know, like your living room, kitchen would be kind of open together, which is the same in the back apartment, except for it actually has 2 closed-off bedrooms in that back apartment.
Got it.
So, and then, so we're putting that back together now, and hopefully get the sidewalks, and then in the next year or so, work on the roof and the siding and the garage or whatever it is back there, you know, that little area. So it's just a work in progress.
We've done a lot already, and it looks really nice. I told the guys he took me through it.
Yeah, it's painted, all new drywall and everything. So it looks a lot different. And that was my hope, you know. I kind of went back and forth the contractor because he kept wanting to put the bar back in the same spot. And I'm like, I'm not spending all this money for them to walk in the door. And it looked like what it did before, you know. So I'm going to say, well, the color on the walls came out a little different. So they're actually kind of pinkish, peachish, like.
I didn't notice when I was there.
You didn't? And like I know it sounds funny, but once I get the decor in there, I really think it'll look really nice.
Yeah. You got the faux kind of grayish wood flooring.
Yeah, it's
black
like
ceilings.
a wood grain laminate type flooring, except for industrial. And then all black ceiling. We ran the heating vents along the ceiling, so there's a big black tube, so it doesn't just blow in some vents out the wall and can't work its way down. So, and ceiling fans with lights in them is what we put up there. Not like, these are like new ones, so they're like LED. I wasn't sure what was going to show up either, but I love Menards to go pick out pictures, but that was an option this time, so I had to go with what they told me to, the electrician. So, but it looks totally different, and it looks really nice. So I know it doesn't look like that. Like, we just had our big St. Jude in Yates City this weekend. So I'd seen a lot of people I hadn't seen, and one of them being a couple of girls who would go in there all the time, and they're like, so are you going to sell that place? I was like, oh, no, we're going to get it open pretty soon. She's like, well, you wouldn't be able to tell by going by it. I'm like, I know, you can't tell it by driving by. I was like, but on the inside, it's a completely brand new building. It really looks nice, you know. So.
What questions you guys have for Jody?
Is the basement have occupancy or is it just storage?
No, just storage. Nobody nobody should really have to go down there at all.
Do you envision being open for lunch and dinner? Or?
Yeah, my game plan is to open at 9 a.m. and, to close. The reason being, I have noticed in town, unless I'm wrong, which you guys would know, but there's no gaming at 9 a.m. in town.
11's the earliest right now.
So that's my hope is to open at 9, just because older people like to go out early in the morning. They've been up since 4. They've had their coffee. They've already been to breakfast, and now they're, want to go spend some money before their afternoon nap. So that's my game plan, is to open at 9, and then deliveries, they can get in there. There's not a problem of the trucks outside waiting for somebody to show up at 11. So.
Other questions for Jody?
I'll just comment, thank you for investing in our community. That's really awesome.
No, thank you for the opportunity.
I would ask, and you put a lot of money already, and so you were talking a little bit about the siding and the roof. Do you envision any sort of outdoor seating or access for your patrons? Like a beer garden or a place to smoke a cigarette?
Okay, so we left the door out the side.
When you say side, is that like south?
The side where the residence is. Okay, you can't see.
Main.
So is that?
Oh, you're talking about the side that faces the church.
Yes. Okay.
So north.
Yes. So yes, north.
Okay.
I'm a city girl, so even at home, I'm like, okay, north, south, east, west.
Okay.
Which way is that sign coming up? But anyway, you can't see it because there's that privacy fence that's there between me and the residents next door. And there's a big house next door to that. But in the back part of that building, like where the driveway is.
So on the
It'd still be on
the west side of your building?
No, it would be the north. There's a door that goes out to like a grassy area.
Okay.
I want to say they have like a little porch. So like after she had passed and I seen it, I could tell there's chairs and stuff out there where people would go outside to smoke.
Okay.
So there's an actual door that goes out too.
There's a small area you could do a little outside thing if you wanted to there.
But on the north side of
It'd be on the north
building.
Right.
Okay.
There's
The rest
that
of it's
little,
pretty locked in because you go out of the rest of the building, it's sidewalk and street.
yeah, where the back, outside that back
South side.
apartment. Yeah. No, it would be
West
east
side?
west. Yeah, there's like a 2-person parking thing, and then like alongside there, I don't know, I think there's a chain link fence kind of gate up there right now. And then I want to say maybe she stored cans or something and people just walked out there and smoked. I don't know what they did there. I didn't honestly, I'm not a drinker, so it wasn't, I'm busy enough at my own that I didn't stop over to be like, hey, what are we doing? I just stopped to see my mom, if that makes sense. I didn't really check it out. But so for me, once that area is kind of cleaned up, that's where they would go out to smoke. And we would have like cigarette butts and pots, out there.
So you own the whole building,
Yeah.
correct? The
Yeah.
apartments and all that, it's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
That whole,
That
well, I got
whole-
the area, that has that whole lot. Yeah,
Sure.
that's all one lot. And then I'll be honest, the first thing next year, I'd like to replace that fence that divides. I don't know who lives in that house, but
Actually, I think Randy Massey owns it and rents it.
he does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I noticed they have stuff back there. I was like, they must not be too picky, because I would be like, okay, what are we doing with this fence? But, there is that fence law or whatever. So, but that would be that's like my next thing. It's just a eyesore to me. I'm like, a good wind, I think, could really blow it over.
And so Your kitchen is ready for health department inspection and to start serving?
No, they still have to put stainless steel behind that hood there. I want new stainless steel.
Okay. So I guess what's your time frame for opening and then serving food?
That will all depend on health department.
What's your hope?
What? Yeah.
I would like to be open. I'd like to shoot for September is my hope.
And when you open, are you fully open with food service and liquor license and gaming and everything?
No, it's a step process.
Okay.
So I have found this out over the years. So first thing is just getting the corporation, which only takes as long as the state takes to get back. Then the next step is coming and getting a local license. Next is the state. Then after I get those things, then I can get the health department to come. And from my experience, they're going to come at least 2 times before I'm going to be able to check every box, because they're going to change something in 30 days from the time I schedule them till they come. There's going to be something that changes. Whether last time it was a urinal, who would have guessed? If you serve alcohol, you have to have a urinal now. It wasn't that way when they first.
But your request is all inclusive, I guess.
Yes.
For liquor, gaming, and food.
Because then once you guys grant a gaming, then I can file, and it's been over a year since I've been fingerprinted. Not that they changed, but you have to go get fingerprinted. You gotta wait for Chicago to okay your gaming license. Then you have to wait for the state to actually come and say, okay, you can go live now. So that's all a step process. And the health department, like I said, once they okay it, then I can start serving food.
And before you started doing the work to put all the money in the building, you came to the board and had a handshake agreement with the village board that if you bring the building back up to code, that they would grant you both the gaming and liquor license.
Right.
Is the food license in conjunction with the liquor license?
So we don't have anything relative to food. It's only if if she passes health department, she's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have 2 food license in Peoria County now, so.
You're not new at this.
Huh?
You're not new at this.
So that shouldn't be an issue. Just like I said, it's who you get, how fast they get there, and what hoops they'll.
The gaming will probably take the longest.
Yes, but that's one of those things. At least if you get people coming back in, then they'll be looking forward to the gaming. So you're at the mercy of the state of Illinois.
All right. Anything else for Jody?
So longer range siding and a roof, and it sounds like just property like aesthetics like fencing and things like that. Correct?
Yeah.
But structurally with the actual facility, it sounds like the only additional major undertakings will be the siding and the roof.
Yeah. And they're both, we have to go back and get some of the.
David, thank you. Sorry that you gotta go.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on.
Okay.
Thank you.
What?
The siding will piece back together, for now to make it look okay. But, and the roof it's structurally there. It's good. It's just, obviously it's going to need a new roof in the next couple of years for sure. But there's no leaks or anything like that right now.
Jody, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. I'll holler at you in the next few days.
Okay, sounds great. Oh, yeah, my keys. Nice to meet all of you. Thank you.
Thanks for all you're doing.
All right, thank you. You want this open?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we'll just go ahead and continue talking about the Hannah City tab. I was hoping we could get done
before David had to leave because he was interested. He's in general support, and I think the question is what do we do and how much do we do? I worked with boards long enough to know it's better to, in my opinion, have something to shoot at rather than just start with a blank sheet of paper. So, based upon some of the conversations I've had with with village board members and so forth, I'll give you a distant opinion, and you don't have you can chuck it, do nothing with it. I mean, whatever you guys want to recommend, I'm good. But because she's going to circle back on roof and siding down the road, I think in terms of an actual redevelopment agreement or an agreement that would include TIF and BDD money, kind of ongoing stuff, I'd like to keep that powder dry, I think. But I would. She's asking for 20, or she's asking for something to support the 21,000. I think it would be good to give her a grant for that. And my opinion, I'd like to see us do at least half of that cost. She had torn up 25% of the property to do the sidewalk for the for the work that she'd already done. She's going to her credit, she's going to replace the whole thing. If we did half, that would put us at within the fiscal year, we'd have about $3,000 unallocated on the BDD side. If we're at 17,000 now, you take off 4 for the signs, 4 and change for the signs, we're down to 13. If we allocated another 10, assuming that Zanes comes in and does what they say they're going to do, everything we wanted to do this year, we could do within this year's budget. And then I would look in the future to support her on the siding and the roof, probably with something that would look more like what we proposed to Zanes, which would include a grant and then splitting ongoing ED sales tax back to her and or property tax factor, if that makes sense. Because that would give us, those are going to be expensive items to redo the roof and the siding, and would give us some opportunity to have the ongoing stuff for her as well and get her additional money to do that. So, but again, you guys chat it out and think through what you think you want to do. If you want to do more than that, I mean, whatever you recommend, we'll take to the board and chat with them about and see what they say.
So I haven't lived in the city for most of my life. Why is the sidewalk, if I own the house, then the sidewalk's mine and I'm responsible for fixing it? I just want to know the agreement that the city has with people in sidewalks.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, the sidewalk.
If I want, say I owned a home and it's bad, then I have to replace it?
No, it would be the village's responsibility to do it, but the sidewalk's not necessarily bad. She just wants to redo it.
Okay, that's the piece I'm not getting.
Correct. She just wants to redo it because she wants to make it look nicer. Technically, the sidewalk doesn't necessarily need to be replaced.
Right, that's what I was wondering.
What's been torn out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had that conversation, and she says no. And you see how she is. She's going to do it. She's going to do it right. You know what I mean?
No, that's great.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. It's a great question.
The sidewalk.
Yeah. Now, if the sidewalk's damaged in front of your house, then the village would be responsible, assuming that they have the funding to do it. But,
yeah. Okay.
Do you know what the property tax was on it last year, the property as it sat?
I do not. I do not have that figure.
Do you know, will it be reassessed after it's been opened?
I'm sure it will. Anytime that we do a permit, every month, any building permits that we do, those permits go to Peoria County. We send a monthly report to Peoria County so they know everything that needs to be reassessed. So if they see anything that's big or is interesting to them, then they'll come and look at it.
Okay.
And so my guess is especially when she does the outside.
Right, because I was going to say, technically you can't even see she's done anything.
Correct. But they'll see the building permits for that. Right. And then they'll know the building's worth more than what it was. So it'll be reassessed. And it'll be reassessed again, I'm sure, when she does the outside.
And then how long has the establishment been closed to the public? And my question is
a year and a half, maybe.
Okay, so we never saw any sales tax revenue off that facility.
For the last year and a half, that's correct.
And do we know what it was?
I don't. I know the gaming, our portion of the gaming was, she was doing about $50,000 just in gaming that she was netting out. So we were probably doing, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 in gaming. I don't know what the sales tax was for. It wasn't a whole lot. Most of it, they weren't open really for lunch or anything. It was just kind of,
Yeah.
I think she
So-
opened like at 4 or 5 o'clock at night till close.
And I guess my line of questioning
Yeah.
is that in the spirit of a TIF, we're supposed to improve blighted areas. Well, it was blighted.
Yes.
She's invested in it. So I'm excited about the opportunity to support her on this. I just have my own little biases about supporting the rental properties of it as opposed to the commercial side of it. But she's not asking for that right now. Obviously, the sidewalk, siding, roof is duly beneficial, but the main source in its existence is as a restaurant and bar. And so to me, the little rentals is kind of secondary to me, but I think that she's going to put more money back in the coffers for us as a community
She is.
through sales tax and property tax. So my personal opinion, yeah, she got 50% of that sidewalk.
Yeah.
The sooner it gets open, the sooner we're going to get more money.
Right.
The sooner she's going to get money, we're going to get money.
Yeah, I think a lot of what in the side conversations I've had with board members is what I hear them say is, man, I'd really love to put money into the siding and the roof and, you know what I mean, to make it look aesthetically, look a whole lot better. That they'd rather spend the money there. They're not necessarily opposed to this by any stretch, especially given all that she's already done. I mean, because a lot of them didn't think she'd ever bring the building back up to code, to be honest.
Yeah.
And she has.
And that's awesome.
It is.
Because what was the alternative?
Yeah.
Wait another 10 years and we'd be talking about raising a building, helping with the demo cost?
Yeah, buying it and
Right.
yeah.
Right? Like,
No. And inside it does look really nice. It doesn't look, I don't know if you ever went in the old, I visited everything when I was here and it wasn't very attractive, but it's really nice in there now.
but I mean, if they have a clean kitchen and clean bar, people go in there, and they'll look past the exterior for a while.
But I'm with you. I think if we've got the money within this year's fiscal budget to help her, we don't have to dip into the reserves. And then we can look in the future at either a grant if she's going to do the outside, that would be $15,000 plus, or we could do a redevelopment agreement. To your point, we could do $15,000 like we're doing with Zane's and give her some sales tax back and give her some property tax back for a couple of years to go beyond the $15,000 to get the roof and the siding done. So.
I agree that the siding, the roof, the exterior aesthetics would be really nice to get excited about way more than the sidewalk. But the reality of it is, it's not a high visibility establishment. It's not.
It's not refuel.
Yeah. So it's not.
Yeah.
It's not as significant as far as from our support of the aesthetics, but a functioning business. And if she thinks the sidewalks infrastructure for a functioning business, I'm good with it.
What do you think, Greg?
I agree.
So entertain a motion to give her $10,000.
I did have one. I'm sorry. I did have one question. Because haven't we been asking for 2 quotes? For 2 estimates?
Not on the commercial side.
Oh, residential. So we're
residential,
fine to
correct.
accept the pros. That's
Yep.
right. Okay.
Yep.
So move to 58.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Zach motion. Danny second. I think we should probably roll call this. So one at a time. Danny?
Yep.
Jeannie?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Approved. Then we'll give her $10,000.
I guess I'm chopped liver, Brian.
Do you normally get to vote?
Thought I did.
I can't remember. Did he? Okay, forgive me.
Yes.
Okay, Zach. I apologize. I thought for some reason I had in my head that you were the kind of like the mayor. You were the deciding factor. You only voted in the need of
We're really not a deciding factor.
Right.
No, but I do know that the board appreciates.
Right. Like our work is important, but ultimately that
We make
They're-
real decisions.
No, but the fact that
the other tax-paying bodies having a say, though, makes, or
No,
having some
I
opinion.
know our purpose.
Yeah.
I know our purpose.
Ryan, did you?
I did not vote. I don't vote.
Yeah, you're the one that doesn't.
I never vote. I'm a policy implementer, not a policy maker. That's what I tell everybody. You don't like the policy place.
Is that a plan to just reimburse?
Yeah, we'll reimburse it. Well, we'll up to 10,000, right? Well, no, we're going to reimburse her 10 grand, and we'll follow the same process. You'll have to turn in the final quote and proof of payment that we're doing with all the other grants.
Yep.
That's great. This is how the stuff's supposed to work. All right, I just wanted to give you an update. I'm on number 4 now. I'm backtracking. The grant proposals. So on the residential side, Peterson, those were the folks down at the Oak. Is it Oak? I can't remember what the name of the house is on 116.
The Oak
Yeah. They started their work. I've not seen anything else on them. The Penn, the lady that was doing the windows, I've not had any activity, not even the building permit. Stout, the work has started. She was doing the side railing for the deck and then also replacing the windows. She came back and they were able to fix the windows rather than replace them, so that one's going to be lower in terms of the money. Cycle is the fence. They're tearing out the old fence and putting in a new one, and I've not seen anything with that. No, not even a building permit or whatever. Wheelers are done. They're our first project. They had turned in a request for $5,500. They got additional quotes, which was good, and they ended up coming in at $4,000, so they were lower.
What was their project?
That was they removed that really big tree, and then they did a bunch of trimming on like 2 or 3 other trees.
Okay.
And we've got the big check now, and we've got the board voted to approve the check, so we got the check waiting to be signed. So eventually, in the next few days, if you follow Hannah City Happenings or something, there should be a picture out there with them granting the money to the people the Wheelers who did that work. So that'll be our first one. Ricketts is the house right over here next to Buzzkirk's. My understanding is they also bought Buzzkirk's, and you can see they've started to tear out kind of the overhang fencing and stuff there. And so they've got that kind of whole property there, but they've not done anything to this point. McCoy was the one that we did kind of online, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, but they're just doing the awnings and porch. That was approved by the board, and the work has started on that one. On the commercial grant, the mall, the permit's been approved. My understanding is they're going to do sidewalk Friday and begin painting next week, hopefully. Gills, the reimbursement request was received this week, so I'm hopefully going to have that to vote on at next week's meeting. Honegger did end up doing blacktop, not concrete, so his is cheaper, but it's still over the max, so there's not going to be any new money. It was still the $15,000. The work's completed, so I'm waiting on his reimbursement request. Hog Trough's been done with the exception of the striping. I think that they're supposed to do the striping of the sidewalk. And once that's done, I look forward to seeing that. Sportsman's Club, they've done the parking lot. And I've got the permits for both the entryway and the painting of the building and the landscaping. But I don't think that work has started yet. And then Solder is the brick building over here. And I've got the
right.
Yeah, the tuck pointing and the new window and the new kind of cedar shake siding or whatever. And I've got the permit for that, but I haven't seen anything else since then. So that's an update on everything that's been approved. I think the commercial side, I think we're still right up against it. And on the residential side, we're probably going to be a couple $100, maybe under at this point. But as they come in, I get them to Gwen, she approves them, then I take them to the board, and if they approve them, then we cut the checks, and then we'll go through this whole process of getting a photo and making it public and going from there. As far as the village signs, we're waiting on the company to actually bring out the actual completed signs. Our guys, the public work team, have gone around and looked at each of them and looked at what they had to do to fix them and repair them and make them straight and look nice and all that kind of stuff. But we're waiting on the materials. Once they come in, we're going to kind of jointly go out and fix the standards and put in the new signs. Are you familiar with that? What that is?
No.
There's 4 signs. So there's one coming on 116, one coming on 116 here, the one right out in front of this building, and then there's one on the Hannah City Glassford Blacktop. They kind of look purple now with the white standards. So the white standards are going to be repaired, and then there's a new kind of navy with the new logo, navy and white logo going to go in there that says Village of Hennessy.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's where that stands. The people that are making the graphics are a little bit slower than I'd like, but Zach asked some good questions last time about the Open Meetings Act, and I've been working with our attorneys on that. You know, it's interesting. There's not a whole lot of what they would call case law on whether we need to follow Open Meetings Act or whether we don't. And part of it is, you know, none of you are appointed, none of you are elected, right? It's not a decision-making authority, so that all argues that, you know, you don't necessarily have to follow it. But then the attorneys are always on the side of, you know, you should do the safest thing and follow it if you want to. So their recommendation is that we do follow Open Meetings Act principles. And to be honest with you, for every meeting that we've had, we've done so, with the exception of when we talked about the actual projects. Yep. And so, yes, open for discussion. I think, and we did vote on that one project online, so that would have been a violation of the Open Meetings Act. But the attorneys were like, you know, if you're going to do it, just move forward. And I said, well, what about the whole idea of, you know, we're talking about people's homes and the conditions of their homes and their properties, and that's a little sensitive. And their point was, there's nothing that says from the Open Meetings Act that you have to record. You have to have minutes from the meeting, but you can have that conversation and just have minutes. So their suggestion was, you know, if you don't want to record the meetings where you're actually having the discussion about people's properties and that's sensitive information, that we could just do it with minutes and we'd still be meeting the guidelines. But I think moving forward, my opinion is we follow the guidelines. We use minutes on the meetings where we're talking about the sensitive stuff. And even though it'll mean we'll have to meet more often, that we don't do the online voting thing in the future. But, you know, we've only done it once to this point. So.
If we're in the pickle of a time sensitive, I think though that you can say that we're doing a straw poll to see how people feel about this, and you could just disclose to the council that we were not able to convene before this.
Yeah.
But a straw poll correspondence was favorable for this project.
And we've
right?
done.
That's.
I think we can do that, and or we can just do something on video, and then to your point, if we had a straw poll, everybody's kind of thumbs up for it, but we didn't have an official vote. We can always do the official vote after the fact.
Right.
We've done that with the board as well at times, where we've approved things where we have an emergency, you know, water leak and it's more than what we can spend by ordinance, but you've got to fix it, right? So you fix it and then vote on it after the fact. Yeah, we can do that kind of stuff.
I just don't want to see somebody, you know, like there's a good opportunity to get something done.
Yeah.
And it makes good sense, but yet you're worried about this committee. I think we can do a straw poll.
I think we'll figure out a way to work our way through that. But for the most part, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that at the Park District with our lawyers, and when we went to convention and had to go through Open Meetings Act training, they just said, if you need to make an emergency decision, instead of voting on it, ask for support, then you're not breaking any rules. So, hey, I'd like support for this future motion. That way, you know, you already have the members, you know, approval basically. And then at the next meeting, you just make it retroactive.
Thank you. Those are all good thoughts.
Yeah. Show of support is more politically correct than straw poll.
Yeah, I like that. I like that wording. All right. I think that's everything I've got.
So going back to that, then we all need to take the OMA training.
No, I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to take the training. I think we just have.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I just think we have to follow the rules.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to take the OMA training, you can.
Well, I've taken it before for the library,
Yep.
but I'm just saying. Okay.
Yep. Again, you're not appointed.
Right.
You're not elected. You're a volunteer. You don't have decision-making authority. I think at the end of the day, if I'm responsible for making sure that we follow the rules, me and Zach, and so if we do that, I think you guys are good.
Okay.
I could have sworn when I was doing the training, there were a couple examples related toward advisory bodies, because I mean, like legally speaking, this is the same as like a private group of just citizens coming around and talking about stuff and then going before the board as if we were just citizens making recommendations.
Except
Yeah.
for it's spelled out in the binding TIF.
I guess the question is too, do you guys, I know do you have to take open meetings at training for you? So, it would just be, you would be the only one. But again, I don't think that's crucial, at least based upon, what I got from the attorneys is always, they always like to go to no risk, and they know me well enough by now that I'm like, okay, give me scales of risk, right? And because at the end of the day, you
They
can't.
never would do that.
Yeah, no, and zero risk costs money to operate that way. So at the end of the day, I think we found a nice medium here, to middle ground to work forward. So. But I'm excited. I don't know, you guys hear anything in the community about the projects or what's going on? I know when we sent out the thing on Facebook that the people got their grants, all of a sudden the phone started ringing. Everybody wanted to know what was going on, which is great. And we filled up quick.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot more to vote on next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And things are looking nice. Those parking lots look nice. I can't wait till the mall's painted, and lots of good stuff going on.
Everything I've heard is just people saying, the new sidewalks or the new parking lots look awesome. I've talked to one of the recipients of the residential grant. They're very excited about it.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Appreciate your time. Megan, thank you for coming in when you're sick.
Hope you get feeling better. Don't touch your eyes.
Hey.